Welcome to KozTech, where I'll be discussing retro and vintage computer and gaming systems. Consider this to be a pilot episode, one where I'll be going over the channel, why I'm doing this, and other information. It will also serve as a testbed for future videos, allowing me to work on any bugs and glitches, and give me a chance to figure out this whole YouTube thing. So I've been interested in video games and computers for a long time, basically ever since I was a kid. My first experience with video gaming was with my uncle's Atari 2600, which was the wood grain variant that most people are probably familiar with. He had a ton of games, controllers, and other peripherals and accessories, and was even subscribed to a few magazines and catalogs, giving me my first exposure to Atari's other systems, such as the 5200, the 7800, and the Atari line of computers. And my first experience with a computer was an Apple II, both of the green screen variety and the color screen, way back in elementary school. Yeah, I played a lot of Oregon Trail, and no, I never actually made it, unfortunately. Stupid Dysentery. My cousin also had a Commodore 64 with a bunch of games on floppy disks and a couple of cartridges, but mainly on floppy disks. As a computer, it was fun to mess around with, but we mainly used it for gaming. So my first console was an Atari 2600 Junior, which was basically a redesigned version of the original console. A lot more sleeker, a lot more modern looking, at least for the late 80s. It was also my first major purchase. Some games were purchased through retail, but most were pretty much gotten through garage sales or thrift stores, or they were gifted to me. I'll probably make a follow-up video in the future going over the basic history of the 2600, show off some of the games, and maybe even pick one up to refurbish and mod on camera. And after that, I got an NES, a Game Boy, a Super NES, a Sega Genesis, along with a Sega CD, and the Sega Game Gear. After that, I got a Sony PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, Sony PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, a GameCube, along with the Game Boy Player, which allowed you to play Game Boy games on your television. I then got a Nintendo Wii, a Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Wii U, a Sony PSP that I managed to find brand new after it was discontinued, just hiding on a shelf at Target. It's kind of a lucky find. After which I got a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo 2DS XL, and then an Xbox One S and a Sony PS4 Slim, both which I picked on eBay as 4 parts only. Turns out the Xbox just needed a new hard drive, and the PS4 was fine. It was just a little dirty, and that's why it was making noise. So I kind of got lucky with both of those pickups. With all that being said, however, my two favorite systems were the Super Nintendo and the NES. My all-time favorite game, Super Mario Bros. 3. Loved it, played it a lot as a kid, and I still enjoy it to this very day. Moving on to computers, technically my first computer was a garage sale pickup of a Texas Instruments TI-99/4A. Came with a base model, which was basically just a keyboard with the guts inside, as were most of the computers for the time. Also came with a tape drive, a few programs and games on tape, and a couple of game cartridges. However, what I consider to be my first actual computer was an NEC-ready 7610. Had a 120 MHz Pentium CPU, 8 MB of RAM, 1.2 GB hard drive, CD-ROM drive, and a modem. Came with Windows 95 and a bunch of software. We also picked up a matching monitor, and there was a printer that came with it as well. It was a Lexmark 1020 ColorJet printer. Eventually, I started upgrading the computer, adding additional memory, increasing the hard drive storage, replacing a sound card, and even adding a 3D video card. But eventually I hit a limit due to space constraints within the case, so I started to move everything over to a new case. Once that happened, I had more room to add more components, upgrade more components. Eventually I had enough of the old parts left over, I got to basically build a computer out of that and just, pass it on to my brother. And as time went on, I had enough parts to build another computer that I gave to my mom, and so on and so forth. It wasn't that I didn't want to share the family computer, it's just that everyone wanted time on it, and, it just was easier that way. We did have the internet, and just like most people at the time, we used AOL.
You've got mail.
A lot of fond memories. We even made a few friends online, both through message boards and through Instant Messenger. I'll be discussing this and other computers in a future video as well. So one of the reasons I wanted to start this channel is because I wanted to get back into tech. See, I used to love tinkering with computers, from upgrading them with various parts, building new computers, things like that. And I got so good at it that I eventually decided to get into IT as a profession, and I've been doing that ever since. However, while I got to, and still do play around with new tech as part of my job, it's my job. I don't want to spend all day at work setting up new equipment and then come home and messing around again with my own equipment. Kind of just get tired of it. Now, I started working from home a while back, which got a little boring and lonely, so to help pass the time, I'd usually have the TV on in the background while I worked. But all that's on during the day is news, or soap operas, or talk shows, and I'm just not interested in any of that stuff. So I decided to just put YouTube on. Now, I rarely visited YouTube in the past, but for the little that I did visit it, apparently remembered, because it showed me a bunch of recommended videos. Went through the list, and I just wasn't interested in anything that it was showing, until I got to some stuff that was discussing technology. I watched that, okay, that's kind of neat, and then as I started watching more of these tech videos, it would show more recommendations, eventually showing some retro stuff, and now that really piqued my interest. See these random tech videos discussing, the Apple II or the NES, and I just kept watching more and more and more of that. They were really interesting and really informative. And well, that was it. Down the rabbit hole I went. This all got me excited for tech again, only this time it was for tech I'd long forgotten or never got to experience. Things such as the Commodore Amiga. And I was also surprised that so many people were into this and had started their own YouTube channels to talk about their passion with old tech. That there were even people and communities out there making modern parts for these older pieces of equipment. And the fact that people just in general were making repair videos and taking photographs of the process and just making these overall guides, it's just awesome, They're help preserving the past and helping future retro enthusiasts keep the community going. Not to mention, keeping a lot of this equipment from the landfill. Everyone talks about e-waste. Well, now we have a solution for some of this older stuff. So all this got me thinking about rebuilding my gaming collection, as well as getting into retro computing. I'll be slowly repurchasing my long-sold consoles and games like my NES, Genesis, etc. I'll also be getting systems I never had, like a Game Boy Color, or vintage computers such as the Commodore 64. Finally, maybe I'll be able to own an Amiga, or a Macintosh SE30, the old beige one with the handle, box-shaped, black and white screen. You know what I mean. Now, some of you are probably thinking, why does he want all this old junk? Well, the same reason anyone collects anything, to help preserve the past and relive fond memories as well as to make new ones. And even though there are a lot of great YouTube channels already discussing this vintage tech, I wanted to give my own take on things. With some videos I may be more technical, others I might just show things from the average Joe's perspective. I'm not looking to make this into a career, and I really doubt I'd get enough subscribers to do so anyway. But overall, it'll give me a new hobby to enjoy. Plus, it's a lot cheaper than therapy. Now, I don't plan on getting every single game for every single system. I just want to relive some of my childhood memories and build some new ones. I'm mainly focused on getting the games I had growing up or games I wish I had. Same with consoles and computers. If I'm buying a system or some bundle that comes with games that I'm interested in, so be it. I'll either sell them or maybe I'll give them to some of my friends. Besides, even if I was interested in getting, for example, every Nintendo game that existed, it's just not feasible. A lot of the rare ones are going for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. That's insane. Now, I'm not saying that people that buy these games aren't justified in doing so. If they have that much passion for it, great, fantastic. It's just not for me. So that's about it for now. I will be releasing more videos as time goes on, though I don't yet have a schedule. First few videos might just be about me showing off what I currently have, although I did manage to pick up a few things via eBay, local retro shops, and some garage sales. So I'll show those off too. As time goes on and I acquire more tech, I'll keep adding videos. Plus I've got some other ideas for videos, such as doing, a tour of my collection. And obviously as time goes on and I add more stuff to it, I'll release new videos, as well as maybe doing some monthly pickup videos. Basically, I'll show off what I got last month, games, systems, whatever, and, maybe do some unboxings and things like that. So hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe as well so you know when I post more videos. Feel free to comment too, especially suggestions on things you may want to see in the future. If you didn't like it, go ahead and click the thumbs down, but please mention in the comments what you didn't like, so that I can try to make improvements going forward. Depending on how many comments I get overall, I might not be able to respond to all of them, but I promise you I will read them all, and I will take them into consideration for future videos to help improve this channel. Thanks all, and I'll catch you later.